Someone Better by I_am_Ellie on AO3. Episode 21, Chapter 18, Happy Birthday. Hizashi drove because Shouta was too nervous, alternating between tapping the tempo of songs from Hisashi's radio show on his knees and rubbing the palms up and down his pants. Every second to the agency seemed to go by too fast and overwhelmingly slow at the same time. It was horrible. Breathe, babe. It's all she said from the driver's side. It's gonna be fine. Just relax. Shouta felt like Hizashi had said those two phrases at least hundreds of times that day. It didn't stop the slowly spreading feeling of dread. It felt like an infection in his chest. I am relaxed, Shouta said. I am completely relaxed. I am completely relaxed and focused and ready to complete this mission because I know that nothing could possibly go wrong. I am fine. Whatever you need to tell yourself, Sho. The drive to the agency took a good 40 minutes because of rush hour traffic, and by the time they got there, Shouta felt a bit ill. Just a mission, just a mission, just a mission, just a... Their boss was on one of the top floors of the agency's main building, and Sensei and King were waiting outside the doors of his office. Vlad's arms crossed over his broad chest. He almost looked too big for the small plastic chair. Sensei grinned at them and waved, ever easygoing. Eraser, Mike, glad to see you again. We're off duty for now, Hisashi replied. Just call us our name, Sensei. Right, sorry, Sensei said. I guess it's a habit by now, what with my profession. Understandable. How have you been? How's your brother? That's all she asked, and Shouta was grateful that he picked up Shota's slack in the conversation sense. Tenya is... Tenya, Tensei said simply. He's a bit of a stickler for rules, but he's a great kid, wants to be a hero like everyone else. Incredibly smart. Aiming for UA? Yeah, but he says we're not allowed to give him a recommendation. Says he wants to earn it himself. Determined little thing. He's actually recently went to the Abandonment. They gave him these glasses, and they look so odd on his little face. Oh no! Did he get the old man glasses? Hisashi asked, and Tensei nodded, chuckling. He looks like a little librarian. He recently got his quirk, too. Went to bed one night and woke up. There were these engine on his legs. Not elbows, he said, gesturing to his own arms. Legs. Lucky brat. Still a hard quirk to master, Shouta murmured, feeling rude, having not contributed much to the conversation. There's a lot of factors. Will it activate every time he runs? Will it take a while to control? Will it activate while he's just walking unexpectedly? What if it activates as a drastic speed while he's using it, and he can't bring it back down? Will he be shot in the air? Will he fly? Will he be injured? Is his quirk similar to yours? Or will the engines just die or just fall off if he overuses it too much? Yes, the area is convenient for a line of work, while yours is less so, but it doesn't make it any easier to learn to control. Tensei and Hisashi blinked. Well, that's concerning, now that I think about it, Tensei stated. Shouta shrugged. I'll start training with him immediately after the mission. We're never too young to start learning, I suppose. Sho is actually teaching his own little student, Hisashi said, leaning forward excitedly. Is that so? Tensei asked. He wants to be a hero, Shouta said. And everyone has potential. I'm teaching him, yes. The student's his nephew, Hisashi continued. About a month older than your brother, I think. We took him in about 4 months ago. We're in the process of adopting him. Well, we're about to start the process of adopting him. We still have to wait until that one, he points at Shouta, turns 21. And we have to wait until we've had him for another few months, Shouta added dryly. And we have to get married. And we have to get our financial situation back under control. This mission will definitely help with that, Hisashi noted. What's his name? Tensei asked. Maybe we could get him and Tenya together? They can make friends. Tenya certainly needs more. Izuku Midoriya, Hisashi said. He's a very talented child. Really smart, very tiny, green hair, bright green eyes, and like a million freckles. He loves heroes, probably has a chapter on you about your quirk in one of his hero notebooks. Now that I think about it, I'll have to ask him when we get back. Has his quirk come in yet? Tensei asked. Something that'll help him get into UA, I hope? No, Hisashi said. Izuku's quirkless. Tensei blinked. I see, Tensei said. Well, that certainly won't get him into UA easily, but if he inherited anything from Shouta here, he'll end up in the hero course by the end of the first year anyways. We hope so, Hisashi said. I think I might be at fault for his quirk not being developed, but at least in that part, Shouta said. Babe, that's pretty much impossible. It's all genetics. He was born like that. Okay, then my genes. My father had a very strong telekinesis quirk, and my mother could cancel out quirks. Not mutant and mutant. If she touched them, I saw her cancel out a man who was born with 6 arms once, and it was disturbing. But that's besides the point. Quirks are largely affected by the quirk of the parents. My sister had a very weak telekinesis quirk, more than likely affected by my mother's own eraser quirk. My quirk came in 3 years late, and everyone assumed I was quirkless, though I never really went to the doctor to get tested. But when I was 8, my quirk came in. Erasure, by looking at the target, and a very weak telekinesis quirk that pretty much can only activate when my erasure quirk is. My quirk was strengthened by my father's, in the fact that I don't have to touch someone to cancel out their quirk, but limited by my mother's, in that I can't cancel out mutant-type quirks, because of my sister's genetics and the fact that her own quirk was weakened significantly from what could have been by my mother. I think she carried on those genes on Izuku, and it just cancelled out his quirk completely. But had Izuku been born without those genetics, he likely would have gotten a fire-type quirk. Maybe his hair floating slightly like mine when it activated, or a fire manipulation quirk, able to move and control fire from Inko's telekinesis. Shouta rambled. Hisashi and Tensei blinked at him slowly, looking completely and utterly lost. I talked to Izuku's pediatrician quite a lot. Shouta defended himself, feeling his ears go red. Uh-huh, Hisashi said slowly. Well, that's a theory. So you just took a lot after your mom, then? Tensei said, still looking bewildered. Yes, Shouta said. I inherited much of my mother's appearance as well. Black hair, brown eyes. Skinny, Hisashi murmured. That too, Shouta said. Wait, you had brown eyes? The door to the office opened then, and they were ushered in. Shouta hadn't actually seen his own boss since he was first hired. The man was quite scrawny, and he had oily blonde, thin hair combed down to a red scalp. He was quite short, even now, and he had a few more wrinkles on his face than Shouta remembered. Hello, boys, the boss greeted. Eraserhead, Present Mike, Lad King. Good to have you joining us, Ingenium. I know you're horribly busy these days. The man's appeared apologetic, though Shouta wasn't sure if he was truly genuine. There was something behind his eyes that made it look fake, like he was looking at a plastic version of a person rather than a real one. Happy to be here, Mr. Shoei, Tensei said. That's right, Shoei. Shouta was horrible with names. I'm sorry you couldn't have been fully aware of your mission beforehand, Shoei said. There it was again. Shoei's body language said he was sorry, but his eyes held no remorse. They were like the eyes of a doll. Shouta noticed that Tensei's smile seemed to be fixed as well, and Hisashi looked a bit uncomfortable. Privacy issues. But we couldn't let our intentions be leaked to the public and back to the group itself. That would defeat the entire purpose. You all understand, I trust? Yes, sir, Vlad said, dutifully, and Shouta realized it was the first time he'd heard the man talk since they arrived. "Good man," Shoji said, joyfully. Why were his eyes so empty? "The details of the mission, sir," Tensei prompted. "Oh, yes, right, of course." Shoji floundered, reaching into his desk and taking out a mandala folder filled with papers. "You each have alternate names and identities to go by, of course, for your personal safety, and your hero names and personas won't be leaked to the public, if we can help it." The group of four nodded gratefully. "Your identities," Shoji said, handing out a paper to each of them. "According to the group, you are 4 members of another widespread, albeit underground, group, coming for a transfer of goods and money. Your mission is to collect as much information as you can in the limited time you have, and to, so to speak, cut the group off at its head." "You mean," Hizashi said, quietly, "if, in that time, you manage to take out the head of the group, he would not be missed, and this whole thing could be finished a lot faster." "You want us to kill a man?" Shoji ignored Hizashi. "Ingenium," he said, and Tensei straightened. "I understand you care deeply about this case." Tensei nodded. "I do. And your motivation for this? Just so everyone in the room knows what they're getting into." "They have a network of children. Homeless children, abandoned children, quirkless kids. Those without money or family. They're using them to distribute substances around the city and punishing those who do not meet their quota." "And how do you know this? How did you come across this case in the first place?" Shoji asked. I should have felt his blood run a bit cold. Workless kids. Kids without families. That was Izuku down to a T. Would they have taken Izuku had they come across him? "I came across a child 6 months ago," Tensei said, and his voice sounded mechanical and choked. "He was beaten almost to death, bleeding in more places than I could count, and terrified. I tried to help him to get an ambulance, since I wasn't able to run to him myself. But the extent of his injuries, he told me what he could." Sensei swallowed. "The ambulance didn't make it in time. I promised him that I would take down their organization, and that's what I am doing." "And I am confident that you will succeed in this," Shoji said. "Which brings us to our next point. Who would be most successful for gathering of information, and who would be more successful in taking out the leader himself?" "You, Preza Mike, obviously have the advantage of charisma, and they'll be remiss to announce you're harmless. But how are we supposed to gather information? From a computer, files, keep our ears to the ground, and hope to hear something before we have to take out the leader?" Tensei asked. "I'm getting there, Ingenium," Shoji said. Plastic eyes narrowed. "As I was saying, Mike is an easy, trustworthy individual. Lad is intimidating in nature and stature, but he has an air of someone you would respect. That could come with its own advantages as well. Ingenium's face is not as well known as his hero uniform, so he should be fine, but no offense intended, he is not the best in the areas of self. Really, the same thing goes for Mike. And with the instincts to trust, Lad comes the need to fear him." "I'm not sure I like where this is going," Hizashi said. "Eraser," Shoji said, turning to Shouta. "You have physical limitations because of your appearance and your injury, but you are naturally unsuspecting looking because of your age and frame, and I'm sure you can act decently. Add to that the fact that you are, as I've begun to notice, naturally observant." Shouta frowned. "You have not stopped looking at me with distrust for this entire conversation. I trust you have good guess as to why." All eyes in the room turned to Shouta. Shouta shifted slightly. "I'm not sure I would be able to share that without being fired." "No, please," Shoji said, and his smile now looked dangerous. "I give you my permission." Shouta sighed. You've shown emotions such as any other human being would. Shouta stated, and his voice felt monotone. You've smiled and joked and shown remorse and regret. Your body language shows these emotions, but... Shouta swallowed. Your eyes are dead. The only time you've shown true emotions is when you were angered. When Tensei interrupts you, you look displeased. And your conclusion? You've adopted these emotions to fit in the room. That's fairly obvious. Shouta continued. Every movement felt robotic. But you did not feel them yourself. I think you're a sociopath. Shoji grins. He had too many teeth. You've come to this conclusion, and yet you aren't scared? Shoji noted. Shouta shrugged. I also know you're a hero. Shouta said. I'm not scared that you will hurt any of us. Your expressions are off-putting, but you aren't frightening. Having a problem doesn't make you a bad person. Are you speaking from experience? I am not a sociopath. I'm just a decent person. Shouta said through gritted teeth. Oh, but you have trouble conveying emotions too, don't you? See, I'm observant too. It's why I'm good at my job. I'm here to complete a mission. Shouta said, not to talk about the oddness of certain parts of humanity. Get to the point, please, sir. Fine. Shoji said. Hizashi, you will be finding out as much as you can from members of the gang. Kan, you will be there in case things go sideways and they need protection. Tensei, you will be there as an escape route. And Shouta? Hizashi asked, faintly. Shouta, Shoji said. You, my boy, have the most important job of all. Shouta felt the familiar dread begin to pull in his stomach. You will steal files from the leader's personal office. And you, my friend, will be the hand holding the weapon that takes the leader down. Shouta felt numb as he went through the motions. Someone shaved his face. They tried to cut his hair, but he didn't let them anywhere near with them clippers. They tied his hair up into a half knot at the top of his head, a layer of hair still falling down to his shoulders. They put him in navy blue, V-long neck, long-sleeve t-shirt. And Shouta thought it might have been his first time he had worn something besides red and black in years, and a pair of black jeans. The shirt was itchy, and they wouldn't let him rip the tag off. They clipped his nails short, and scrubbed his face, and hid the red of his irises with brown-colored contacts. He looked different, and he didn't like it. With his hair back and his face shaved, it only made it more obvious how young he was. With a slight roundness to his eyes and the softness of his jaw, his face was wider looking than it usually was, and he looked overwhelmingly young. He was tall, and he was lengthy and scarred and experienced and intelligent, but in that moment, he looked a bit like a teenager. He hadn't looked like a teenager when he was one. This mission was shaping up horribly, and to top it off, he would have to end a man's life by the end of the mission. That had been one of the things he was worried about. You don't have to do this, Hizashi reminded him. Shouta was sitting in front of a large mirror, and Hisashi's hands were resting on his shoulder. Gentle pressure. Grounding. Shouta took a deep breath. I know you haven't. And Ingenium, me, and Vlad are perfectly capable of taking the leader out ourselves. Hell, you're not obligated to go on this mission if you don't want to. This will give me a lot of experience, Shouta stated. It will get me a lot of money. I'll become a more known hero in the agency, and I'll be able to stop children from being hurt. I am obligated to. Shouta, I'm not naive, Hizashi. Shouta said, I knew I'll end up seeing someone die in this business sooner or later. I knew I'll end up hurting someone or killing someone with this job. I'm fully aware I am under no obligation to do this whatsoever. I'm doing it anyways. Hizashi sighed. We might not get a chance to back out once we're undercover. You understand that, right? Are you going to back out? Shouta asked, turning back to look at Hizashi. The other man's silence answer was enough itself. Then I'm not going to either. End of discussion. All right, Hizashi said. Once you're done here, we have to meet with Shoji again. Hizashi frowned. How'd you know he was a sociopath? Shouta shrugged. Kid used to call me one at school. I didn't know what it was, so I researched it. Shouta frowned. What's his quirk? I think they called it numbing? Hizashi said. He can numb injuries or entire people so they can't move. He's like a live shot of Alkarine. From what I've read about him from back when he was an underground hero, he can't feel pain. At all. Nothing. He was a very efficient hero. I suppose the numbing of his own pain also came with the numbing of his emotions. A side effect of his quirk. Shouta noted. That makes sense. It does. That's all she said. It seems like a horrible way to live your life, though. It is. A voice from behind them said. Shoji, standing in the doorway. You were taking a while. Thought I might see what the holdup was. He turned to Hizashi. You're dismissed. I need to have a discussion with Erasure. Hizashi froze. I'm not sure if that's... It won't take long. Shoji cut in, slicing through Hisashi's statement as easy as a knife through butter. You're dismissed. Hizashi nodded, leaving the room quietly. Shoji leaned against the wall across from Shouta was sitting. It is, Shoji said. A horrible way to live, I mean. I imagine so. Oh dear boy, it's worse than any mind can begin to comprehend, Shoji said. My quirk made my life end at 5 years old. I am worse than a sociopath eraser, because I cannot feel anything. I cannot love, I cannot feel remorse. I feel no pain, no warmth, no cold. My nerve endings are dead. My mind is a haze, covered in a fog, and the only thing that pierces it is anger, hatred, annoyance. I like to think that's what drove me to becoming a hero. Hatred towards the people who were cruel. I am a husk of a being, Eraserhead, and I will feel no sadness should you die. I will feel no joy should the mission succeed. But if you fail, Shoji continued, I will be angry, because I can feel hatred, and I hate failure. You got into this agency because you were one of the best in your class, and I truly believe that you can do justice towards this mission, and all those children. But if you need to back out, I will respect your decision and choose another stealth hero to take your place. But this is your last chance. Auntie Nemuri was great at watching him. She tried to play games with him, watching TV with him, smiled at him, and talked to him. But Izuku didn't want to talk. He wanted his unkies to come back, and he wanted his tummy to stop aching, and he wanted to see if they were okay, and if they were going to come back to him. But Auntie Nemuri said that they weren't allowed to talk to anyone until they were home safe. Said that Izuku couldn't be near them, because it might be dangerous. Said that Izuku would just have to wait. Izuku's tummy wouldn't stop hurting. He went to bed early, after dinner, the first night. He'd barely been able to pick at his food without his stomach pulling painfully, and he ended up curling into a compact little ball under all his blankets once he reached his room. When Izuku fell asleep, he felt unbearably warm. We're going straight into Psychology Corner. So first we're going to talk about Izuku, and then we're going to talk about sociopaths, because that's actually an outdated term. So let's talk about Izuku. His stomach hurting. I forgot that this little part was actually added into the thing. As I said, it's been a while since I read this, but yeah. Izuku's stomach hurting so badly, it most likely and most definitely is Izuku's emotions being so harsh that it's manifesting in the sense of a hurt stomach. Again, stress, whatever. I'm not going to go on to that long rant again. Although I am going to go into the long rant about sociopath. So, this Shoji is not a sociopath. I will say this because sociopaths can still feel emotions. The thing that they don't feel is remorse, guilt, albeit sometimes it's very little that they feel remorse or guilt. They feel little to no remorse or guilt. They have little to no empath? No. Trying to find out the word. they don't empath with others. What? No, that's not. They don't empath with others. They don't feel like they're not empathizing, I guess. They have a hard time even understanding what emotions are to other people, in the sense of they feel emotions, but their emotions are in a way different. Like, for example, their love is different from our love. When we think love, we think unconditional love, right? When they think love, their love is conditional. It's they could still feel love, they could still love someone, they could still love something, they just have little to no remorse or guilt. And actually, sociopath is an outdated term. People don't really use that. Sociopath is almost always referred to antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD. I'm not sure if that is then categorized between sociopath and sociopath, because there's sociopath and then there's psychopath, right? At least that's where the terms from the wheel days. So I don't know. I mean, I don't see that on the DSM-5. And I don't really see, like, therapists talk about that in the sense of that. I do see therapists say antisocial personality disorder. So I don't know if there's levels to that, which then refers to, okay, this is sociopath and this is psychopath, right? The difference and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be able to tell you guys if those terms are still in use. But from my understanding, they are no longer in use, medically at least. And instead it was replaced with antisocial personality disorder. If I were to go to the DSM-4, DSM-4, it probably would still be there, but on the DSM-5, it's no longer there, and it's definitely not going to be there on the DSM-6. In fact, there's a bunch of things that are probably going to be added in the DSM-6 and removed, and I am really excited for when that comes out. That is nerdy. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm excited for a textbook, because the DSM-5 is considered a textbook. Oh my god. Oh my god. I've been debating buying it. It's like $80, but I want to buy it. It's like $80, but like, I have a job. I have money now. I have adult money. And what am I going to do with the adult money? Buy a textbook. Okay. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.